I remember being obsessed with a girl that I worked with. We would text all the time and she'd be super flirty over text, but then in person, not always, maybe not so much. But we finally went on a night out with everyone at the office, and on the night, I made a bit of a move to see if something was going to happen. And she did one of the girl things of like a soft rejection, sidestepped it because she was interested in someone else. And then we messaged after a bit, and obviously I was devastated. I really wanted to be with this person, and it felt like I couldn't. But what I decided to do one morning was write out this big long message of why I thought we should be together and tell her all the truth of how I felt. And just before I pressed send to send this message to her, which would have been an absolute disaster, something stopped me. And I'll tell you exactly what that was later, but I bet you can resonate with this, that so many guys get caught in this trap of being obsessed with that girl that they can't seem to have, whether it is a girl from the office that isn't interested, or if it's a friend that you're secretly in love with, but she kind of has a boyfriend. Or even just an ex-girlfriend. This one happens all the time. After the breakup, you really want her back, but you can't. She doesn't want to be with you. And so many guys get caught, including myself, in that miserable trap. So I'm going to speak to in this video, what is it that causes men to end up spending way too many fucking, not even months, but years, caught in this trap of being in love with somebody that doesn't want them back. And then I'm going to talk you through exactly what I did so that one morning was the last time that I was in that trap of feeling like there was someone that I desperately wanted that didn't want me back. Firstly, let's speak to why we end up in this situation in the first place, because this is going to hurt. There's no way around this. But one of the dangerous things that guys do is have this unrequited secret love for a girl or for someone that they know, because it means they don't have to be vulnerable. It means they don't have to put themselves out there, because if they can just be obsessed with this person, whether it is their ex, whatever, they can almost become like the noble martyr of their lives of, oh, I want this person, but I just can't be with them. They've got a boyfriend. And what that does is protect them from going out and having a real relationship, having actually the opportunity to put themselves out there and maybe suffer a real rejection or suffer a real heartbreak. Instead of that, they'll leave themselves still on the hook of this person. And the biggest danger here is the fact that that person they're in love with, that person they're so fascinated by, they don't even know them half the time. Like, it usually comes down to, it's like, for me, this girl from the office that I'd like texted a little bit, but I didn't know her. I wasn't on an intimate level with her. And that's the issue. We end up doing it with like a friend, but we've never known them in a relationship context. We've just started to fill in the blanks. And that's the danger here. When we end up falling for these people that we can't have, we romanticize them because we can't have them. So we start to fill in all the blanks of what we don't know about them with our own images of why they'd be perfect and why they'd be amazing with us. It is very rare you'd ever think that that person you're so obsessed with and so interested in, all those bits you don't know, oh, they'll be negative. Like, no, you always just think they're going to be this amazing partner. And we do this once again. It's like a projection onto them and it feels weird. So even if you did finally pluck up the courage to go speak to them, they're going to find it so strange because you're not speaking to them. You're speaking to the image you created in your own mind. And that's what you've fallen in love with. So I don't even think it's possible to fall in love with someone that you don't know that well, because you're not in love with them. You're infatuated with an image you created in your own mind. And that will hurt, because we also do that with ex-girlfriends. That ex-partner is the cliche thing. What do you do as soon as you break up? You play your greatest hits on repeat and don't think about all the arguments you had in the car when you were going to visit your parents for the first time, and she'd gone and got really drunk and wasted the night before, so was hungover and an absolute mess. Real story, one that I'm very frustrated about. So we never think about that. We always just picture the image. And I bet that's the life you're in, because if you're watching this and you're thinking of that girl that you'd want to be with, but you feel like you can't be, are you really thinking about the girl? Or is it just the image, that side of her that you get to see when you interact with her? Because even if you're in a position where maybe like you don't have a huge established relationship and you'd be interested in one, but you're not sure whether to make the move, you've interacted with her a few times, maybe you are friends with her, but you don't know whether to make the move. Well, I'm going to deliver you a hammer blow here. The girl always knows if you're interested. Literally, they develop a radar for this at 13. And men are significantly less sophisticated in our sort of like social interactions. She knows if you're interested. She just doesn't care. And that's the hurtful thing here. She doesn't care that you're interested, because otherwise she'd have started sending out some invitations for you to make a move. Girls have to know this, and it's fair play to them. They should, because think about it. From a girl's perspective, if she isn't able to differentiate between the guys who are interested in her versus the ones that aren't, she could end up putting herself in an extremely vulnerable and dangerous situation when she just all of a sudden is all alone back with some guy that she thought was a friend who definitely wasn't a bloody friend. So they have this dialed up to 11 that if you've had more than 5 interactions with a girl, honestly, if you've had more than one, she will know pretty fast if you're interested in her. So if you're sitting there thinking like, oh, but if only I told her how I really felt, she knows. The girls know, and you're just sat there wasting your years, wasting away, not making a move and not trying anything because you've like locked up your heart onto this one person and you've got this like obsession around her. And do you know what the impact is on you for this? Imagine what it's like to be that guy that is chasing after someone that they can't have on your self-esteem. Why would you ever deserve some kind of respect from yourself here if it's just watching you simp around, waiting for this girl to finally become single, to finally be brave enough to make a move, for me to be then chasing after this girl who showed she wasn't interested in me? How do you expect to have respect for yourself if you're in this situation? And in the same way, she's not going to respect you if you're just waiting around for her, praying for that opportunity. It simply doesn't work. Too many guys get stuck in this point thinking that something will change. And you know what? That is the least attractive thing possible, because it's so low agency that you're not in control of your own life, your own love life. You're just waiting for external factors to help you along your way. It's not attractive, and it will leave you single and alone for so long, and you will miss out on amazing experiences and amazing relationships just because you couldn't get over that one person that you were obsessed with as a form of protection. So, what is the cure if you think you're so caught up in that image of another person? But one of the things that drives this more than anything else is simply put a scarcity mindset. So many guys get like all caught up thinking about this one girl, but it's likely because she's the only girl in their life, the only girl that they're messaging. It's like, for me, that girl it was like I was all in on her. She was the only girl that I was talking to, and I'd created this illusion around her that this was the one for me. But I was like, well, she's the one for me because she's the only girl in my life. And this is the thing, being a guy that is able to then take himself out of this scarcity and start to have a few more interactions. And I'm not talking about being some bloody Andrew Tate get 5 girlfriends nonsense. I'm talking about just being a guy that knows he is able to meet girls and go up to them, speak to them, and actually have interactions past this one he's obsessed with. Because to finish that story, the thing that stopped me when I was hovering my thumb over with this big wall of text that I was about to send to a girl that wasn't interested, and anyone that has even the most minor understanding of how girls work will have a good idea what reaction she would have had to a guy she's not particularly interested in, pouring her heart out in a desperate message for her attention. Not well. But either way, I was there, I nearly pressed it, but I stopped, because I remembered that I was working but still a student at the time, and we'd been out 2 nights before. And I'd met someone, and we'd actually scheduled a date for that Tuesday. And I decided, well, I'll just go on the date, and if I still feel the same way afterwards, I'll send the text. And the thing was, I went on that date, and it went really well. Like, I was super interested in the girl. We ended up having way better chemistry. And that girl, I ended up dating her for 2.5 years. And maybe literally 2 weeks into knowing her, I'd completely forgotten about this other girl that was always on my mind. I was so obsessed with. And it was simply just because I was just caught up in the image of chasing after her. I didn't know what it was like to have a real relationship. So once I started interacting with other girls, I realised how stupid and silly I'd been, thinking of why this girl, who was clearly a bad match for me, was the one. So, as harsh as it sounds, if you're obsessed with a girl, it's because you don't have any options and you're operating from this position of scarcity and your brain's being like, this is the only girl that we can get, so let's obsess over her, which isn't true. So starting to curate a life where you do have more options, which, yeah, easier said than done. But that's why I'm here for, is I went on this journey. I went from being that guy that was single, lonely, and desperate to try and find someone, to being a guy that is able to have a bunch of options, that I'm able to turn up in a new city and have a relationship with a girl within like a week, because I will just go out and meet girls in the way that works in 2024. And if you want to see exactly how you can start to get over this girl that you're obsessed with, that you can't have by meeting others, check out this video here where I break down the #1 way to meet girls in 2024, the way that I've met all of my partners, and it isn't using dating apps. So check that out, because it will change your life and change all of your relationships.